Hello, happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. Welcome to another wild week. Hey, Sarah. Hey, everybody. Hi, Matt, Bunchu, and Rob. What's up? Passing out mics now. And welcome to the weekly space. Can everybody hear me okay?
Sounded great, Heather.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, what a week. My goodness. This has been one of those weeks that was wearing us out previously. So this is just wow. How many things, like in the middle of the night, we're getting messages and learning about new things dropping. And why does everybody want to do stuff late at night? And I'm still adding everybody speakers there. And welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I had jury duty and I was on a case. Lucky me. So thank you for hanging in there. And I really appreciate Rob um, hosting the space, and then Taylor, Rob, everybody that helped out with that, and everybody that came. It seems like it was a great space. So thank you all for showing up. And I am still passing out mics. Just forgive me for a minute. And
I think everybody wants to know, Heather, was it guilty or not
it was a
guilty?
civil case, so that was the
Oh, no
I
fun.
know it wasn't. I've been on a criminal one before, and I really didn't want to do this, but I was like one of the first people to get called out of hundreds that day. So yeah, it was kind of, but it was interesting. It was very interesting, and it was just more like pain and suffering covered. So it was a learning experience, a little law and order. So that was cool. Glad I got to do my civic duty. Hopefully, I don't have to do it again in the next year. So, but welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. This is our weekly space, and we have a great one today. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. We're going to have several people speaking today. We have quite a few topics to cover, so we'll wait for the mics to for questions and things like that. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you drop them into the comments at below here and DM us and see if we can try to get the question answered, because we'll go through and read through those as we go. So just to kind of keep the flow moving, so we're not here until 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll just keep it moving. So if we have some time at the end, we'll definitely take some questions. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you use your emojis so we can kind of see what's going on. Just hit the heart button if you're on the phone, on your cell phone, and just give us some reactions to let us know you're alive. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rob. But I appreciate that. We have special guests today, and I'm excited because today is launch day, the first day of the season one of Hive 3. And Hive 3 is the first of its kind competitive generative AI league. And this is just awesome. I'm an ambassador for Hive, and I'm proud to do so because there's just so many great people and there's so many opportunities that are there. So today we have already starting out our first brand competition with Crumble Cookies. So the prizes are bigger, more money each time, and you're getting more recognition because this is for a real ad. So it's just really exciting. The people that have been, there's been competitions that have been happening in the preseason beta period up until this point, but now it's going to ramp up and it's the real deal now. So you can visit the website and set up a profile. And anybody who submits anything for any of these challenges weekly, your information, your content will be displayed online under your on Hive. So make sure,
Heather,
yes.
can you explain what exactly this is? What's like a competitive generative AI?
Well,
Like a
I have, well, that's why
What
I
is
have
it?
these guests here, and Bunchu is here, and that's exactly what he's here to explain it much better than me. And Alan is also here. He's an ambassador too. And Alan's been killing it. He's been winning, he won a few challenges now. So he has some tips, and he's going to be facilitating some of that stuff behind the scenes to help people that are trying to compete because anybody can, it's open to everybody. But Bunchu is here, and he is Hive 3. That's what he does. He can explain it if you want to come on up. Welcome.
GM, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's crazy. I was here, gosh, a couple months ago at this point, maybe 2 months or even a little more since the last time we talked about Hive 3. And that was, when we were just kicking off the beta and opening up our Discord. And it's been, almost, gosh, we've run probably 8 to 10 close to challenges at this point, kind of leading up to where we are today. And so it's been super exciting to kind of get our hands dirty with some real challenges, some real competition, some real community building. And we're just super excited today to kind of talk about what the league is and kind of what the structure and stuff is. I mean, when we talked last time, we were really still concepting what all of this was, and we had kind of broad stroke details, but I have plenty more details to share today if people are interested. So, to Rob's question, what is Hive 3 and what is kind of a competitive AI league? And it's a great question. So Hive 3 kind of started out as, our parent company is named Forum 3, and I'm a co-founder alongside Adam Brotman down there in the audience and our other co-founder, Andy Sack. And they, have come from like the consumer brand world, and that's kind of our niche and our specialty. And as we talk to these brands, daily, weekly, monthly about things that are happening in AI and Web3, we kind of learned from them that they're all super, super curious about this technology and about how they could potentially use it for from a marketing standpoint or internally. But there was a lot of trepidation, I would say, and kind of hesitation around the topic because there's some uncertainty still out there around copyright and ownership and all of this stuff. And so but we could tell that they were really interested. And so that's where this idea for Hive 3 came about, which was, okay, we had super strong conviction in this technology and how it can help kind of democratize creativity and all of this stuff. And so we said, hey, let us like demonstrate this to you, right? And so this is where kind of the idea of Hive 3 was born. And the idea of the league comes from, hey, let's go out and build a really cool community for AI artists and designers and creators in general, just people using the tools that want to, sharpen their skills, create, and we put this competitive aspect in to kind of keep it fun, right? And so what we've been doing in the past, couple weeks is kind of creating these challenges that look like they would be real brand creative briefs for, either social media ads or, videos or things like that. And leading into kind of the full on launch of the league. And so today launches the league, and some details around that will be the league is roughly going to be a series of 30 challenges at about a weekly cadence. So, if you've been following along with what we're doing, typically we're running these challenges on a weekly cadence in which they open on Fridays, close around a Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we do kind of judging and winner announcements on Thursday and Friday, and the new one kicks off. So, the league will have roughly 30 challenges following this cadence. And I say roughly because there will be times where we're looking for more kind of event-based things, or there might be some where we run 2 in a week, depending on, if there's sponsors and things like that. So I say roughly, but that's our goal. Is about 30 challenges in this regular season concept. And it's open to anybody. So um, if you're an expert with these tools and an expert creator, or if you're a beginner and just kind of want to hone your skills, you can come hang out at hive3.ai and hang out in our Discord and compete in these weekly challenges. All of these 30 challenges are going to have about a minimum prize pool of $5,000 each challenge. And I say minimum because we're actually looking to, get these prizes as big as possible with these brand partners that are coming in and working with us. So, but what you can expect across those 30 challenges is roughly $5,000 per competition as a prize pool. And what they look like is real brand briefs if you're creating an ad. So today launches our very first one, and it has features our first real brand sponsor, which is Crumble Cookie. And this one's super exciting because Crumble has been so fun to work with. They are kind of in love with what the idea of this technology can do. They're super excited to see people kind of create some things that, work with their brand, like use some of their flagship products and designs, but also really unleash some creativity. Like Crumble is looking for our creators to kind of think outside the box and showcase their products and things in a new way that they're not doing. So they're like promoting this additional creativity, which I think is so fun to see from a real brand. And so that challenge is launched today at noon, and it'll run until Tuesday of next week. And these will be judged by the actual brand marketing team themselves. So if you go to hive3.ai, you can check out the competitions page, and you'll see the brief there for you to check out. If you wanted to compete in that, you can actually create your profile on there, as Heather was saying, and it becomes kind of like your portfolio after a while. All of your submissions and stuff live there that you can point to, you can share, you can like other creations, things like that. We're working on a ton of really cool in-platform features that'll be rolling out in the next couple weeks. But then there's also like a playoff aspect to this, right? So there's the 30 challenges that will make up this regular season with roughly around $5,000 per prize pool. And we committed, if you remember when I was here a couple months ago, we committed to $250,000 in prizes over the course of the season. So that includes this regular season, playoffs, and any other kind of events that we do. So that means just doing the math, there's a ton of prize pool money left over for this playoff concept that we're doing. And if you enter any of our contests and place in the top 3, you will qualify for that playoff bracket. So the playoff will look kind of like a head-to-head, almost March Madness style bracket when the regular season ends, and you'll be seeded kind of based on how many times you've placed. So if you're, consistent and you're doing consistently placing like somebody like Allen, maybe he might have a higher seed in the playoffs than somebody who comes in, wins once, and doesn't place again. So that's the way that playoff will work. So if you place in any of those competitions, you qualify for that playoff. So that's how the league structure is going to work. So you've got the TLDR again, 30 challenges, $5,000 minimum prize pool that all culminate in this playoff bracket, which I think is going to be really fun. Some of these challenges will have real brand sponsors like Crumble. Some of them will look like our kind of mock brands that we've done to date. And some will look, a little more creative and things like that. So that's kind of the TLDR on the league.
Thank you so much. That was so detailed. And I hope that people are paying attention because there's really no downside. This is free. You don't have to pay anything to join. You don't have to show up every week. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to even compete at all if you don't want to. You can just be a part of the community and you can participate, not seriously if you want to, just to learn how to do different things because it is pretty fascinating. A lot of us, we're doing a lot with this generative AI and we're making lots of really cool stuff, but what do you do with it afterwards? This is how you learn how you can transfer those skills into something else later.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that you just made there, Heather, with like, why would you want to come and do this outside of, the potential for prize money? And I think, some of the feedback that we've heard doing the, um, beta challenges were from people who are super talented creators, but they, were creating on their own, and they mentioned that they are used to just kind of like working in their style, and they found that working on these briefs or challenges kind of push them to learn how to use the tools and do things in a different way because each one is different and it might be something different than you're used to doing, but it kind of pushes you to um, use these tools in maybe ways that you hadn't before, which I thought was really, really interesting feedback. And it's kind of part of, what we're all about in the community as well. So like, you mentioned you're a brand ambassador with us, but especially if you love Heather's space here, we're trying to foster the same kind of educational space, sharing space in our Discord as well. And so we'll have starting next week, I believe, starting next week, every Tuesday and Thursday for through the rest of the year, we will be having kind of these educational tutorial sessions with some of our creators that'll be, kind of either teaching their workflow or how to do certain things that they specialize in and things like that. So outside of the competitive piece of this, which it's a competition, it's a challenge, but it's really kind of all in the spirit of fun and pushing the boundaries of what the tools can do and pushing ourselves creatively and kind of legitimizing the art form to these brands and to the world really. But like part of it is this education and sharing piece, which I think we've seen our community and a lot of people in this room are part of that community be so open to sharing their process and sharing the way they do things. And it's really, I think, helped a lot of other people. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about throughout all this.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Um, so we have a lot of AI artists here, and not everybody comes from a marketing background or an ads background. And I was wondering, can you give us some examples of like the deliverables in these creative briefs? Like, what are we actually producing to try and win this money? Is it like a 15-second video or an image or a set of images? Like, what kinds of things are people submitting?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and I think it's also an important one because it's funny. I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and they made the same point about you know not having a marketing background. I think that's one of the things maybe we could help teach in our server as well. But so, for example, of deliverables, it's a great question. So there's some challenges that have been just image based, some have been video based, and so like for example, the we ran a challenge for Halloween where we created a mock brand. Actually, this is one that Alan came in first place on, so I can let him talk to that in a second as well. But we made this mock Halloween costume store brand, and the deliverable was a 15 to 30-second TikTok social media ad. And then, in those briefs, it had certain, brand elements. So we try to give you as much detail as possible in the brief to kind of understand what your deliverables are. But I'll actually give the real world crumble cookie example while we are here. Just letting me, I'll just pull it up real quick. So for Crumble, this is the real brand brief. So the challenge, their legacy cookie ad needs a refreshed, innovative campaign that showcases their high quality, fresh ingredients in a fun and engaging way. The goal is to highlight their commitment to quality ingredients while breathing new life into their classic brand. Creativity and outside the box thinking are strongly encouraged. Create a series of 4 ads for Instagram that promote their core cookie products in a new, fun, engaging way. And then it tells you, what their target audience is. So millennial, Gen Z, young parents, things like that. And then it gives you the direct output. So each 4 unique ads, each in 2 dimensions, and it gives you the dimension sizes for a total of 8 images. So this one is totally just image based. And then it gives you some requirements and recommendations. Like here's the requirements: do not use any copy on the ads, don't use the logo. And then 2 of the 4 ads feature a variety of their cookie flavors, including their milk chocolate chip. One of the 4 ads features only that one. One of the 4 ads features only one of their other cookies that are like their flagship. So you can kind of get a sense of the types of things you're doing there. So between that and like the 15 to 30-second video ad that we did for Halloween, that's kind of the range of things you'd be asked to do or working on.
So that's like generate 4 pictures of cookies and write some captions. Is that what I'm basically hearing for this one?
It's 8, but similar.
8.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So it's 4 ads. Each ad consists of 2 images. Yes, and so the idea is, we give you example brand assets from Crumble as well. So and then obviously link to things people to kind of get their inspiration from on the outside of the box. We link you to reference images of their flagship products, so you could use those as well. But yeah, so it's a simple deliver. It's simple, not easy, right? So the deliverable is simple, and then it can get as complex as the work you want to put into it.
Maybe Alan, would you like to talk a little bit about the competitions that you've participated in and because you just came in third place for this last competition for the pub, right? So you might, Rob, Alan, you don't have a background in marketing, I don't believe, right? Or art and design.
No, I don't. I have a technical background. I guess happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Hive 3 launch day. Happy birthday, Bunch You.
Hey, thank you.
Happy birthday, Chris at I Create Life, who's not here, but shout out. Um, so yeah, this I believe Bunch You. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's been about 10 competitions so far. Um, I've placed in 5 of them. Two in first, 2 in third, and then there was this kind of top 10 um, competition. Um, so my process, and maybe this helps other people as they kind of come into the hive. What I do is that when a brief comes out, I read through the brief, and there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of good stuff. Background on the company and colors and judging criteria and a lot of information. But for me, sometimes it's a little overwhelming, all the information that's in there. So what I do is I try to distill everything down to a single question, right? I try to figure out what exactly is the company, because that's how I look at these. What are they asking me to accomplish for them, right? So every company, I mean, they're trying to typically sell a product or sell a service, um, and they're hiring a designer or marketer to help them with that process, right? So what I do, for instance, we were talking about the Halloween competition. So I looked at that one, and in the brief it said, target demo was like 18 to 30. They wanted it to be fun and kind of cool and optimized for social media. So obviously they probably wanted it snappy and kind of fast paced. Um, and again, I don't have a marketing background, but to me, what that meant, looking at that brief, the question that they wanted me to solve for them is they wanted me to figure out how to make something go viral, right? So that's what I do when these briefs come in. I try to figure out how can I solve something for this company, for this brief, for this competition, and that's how I approach every single one. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to win again. I might not win again. I hope I do make the playoffs, um, but yeah, that is my process. And then I say to myself, all right, if I can answer this question, right? Again, I don't have a marketing background. I'm not I don't consider myself the most intellectual person or the greatest designer or this or that, but I know I can answer a question. And if I can answer that question better than everyone else in the competition, then I feel I have a strong chance to win. Um, Now, I might get the question wrong, and someone might answer it better than me, but that's how I approach everything.
Wow, that's a great way to explain it. Thank you so much because it is overwhelming to kind of look at the requirements, especially if you don't have any kind of background in doing this type of thing. It's with working with these kinds of deliverables, but distilling it down to the smallest or to the most important point, and that shows everybody that yeah, you don't have to have that experience if you're truly trying to solve a problem for the client, even if it's a fictional one, and you learn so much through that. Have you learned how to use more, like what tools have you learned or any skills that you've learned since you've been involved with Hive?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every single brief pushes me to learn something new, and I really feel that my skills have grown so much throughout since I got into the Hype 3 Discord. A lot of times, a lot of the briefs I'm in Mid Journey and Photoshop. Really, I live in Photoshop a lot. Um, but also, I feel my After Effects and my video editing skills have just gone through the roof for me for where I was before I started competing in Hive. And I can only imagine where not just me, but everyone else is going to be after 30 competitions for a lot of them for real brands. I mean, it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, and that's why it's worth it to just to compete or just try your hand at whatever the challenge is. Just why not? It doesn't hurt to try, and you can just try to meet the deadline. If you don't, you can still do it, and you learn something every time. I participated in the first one, and yeah, that was for the solar sneakers. And that was kind of like I never really thought about it like that. The way that the brief came out, and you know putting together, that was for a video, I think, so like a really short video. So it is really worth it, and it's all the competitions aren't going to all the challenges won't be for brands, and it's not they're all going to be different. I'm hosting a challenge in 2 weeks, I believe. I don't think I can give away what it is yet, but it's something that I could do. And so I don't have a background in marketing or design and advertising, any of this. So it'll be something that people like me could do. So look for those kinds of things. And we have Alan's an ambassador, and our Alan will be you'll be helping more in the Discord, right? Because you are more involved there in helping people. Not just they're not only in the Discord, because we do there's a website too. So don't be afraid if you don't like Discord, go to the website, and there's still community there. um, but he's going to be helping kind of facilitate that, and you can ask him for tips, things like that, so on how to do things, and or how to compete, or just how to learn how to a new skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to me on Discord, on Twitter, my DMs. Anything I can do to help, feel free to reach out. And I will be giving a talk like Bunch you talked about um, sometime in the coming weeks. So stay on the lookout.
Oh yeah, it's so awesome. Thank you so much. And did anybody have any questions, Taylor, Matt, Salma, for Bunchu or Alan?
There's no cost to join, right? I just want to clarify that.
No, not at all. It's all Sorry, amateur hour. I got a call coming. It's free, totally free to join, totally free to play. Anybody who is interested can enter. It's funny, when we first were here talking a couple months ago, we thought we might like cap entries and things like that, but we had such great feedback that people really just wanted to participate and throw their hat in the ring. So we've constructed it so that it's open to anybody, and anybody can play, anybody can win, anybody can qualify.
Now, it's just another opportunity for the community to grow in different ways and take this knowledge and the skills we've learned into another area, and just to even think about things differently. So I'm really excited about that. I'm so glad that we're finally here, because yeah, we've been talking about it since this summer. So it's interesting to see how it's working out. And I love crumble cookie. Honestly, my kids explained it to me. So I when I started going there, and you can't go often because those cookies are probably like a couple thousand calories
Oh
each one.
my God, I just ate one this afternoon.
Yeah, you have like a sugar headache and
I'm
everything.
still feeling it.
But they're good, and they have different flavors. They have like their core flavors with the chocolate chip and that thing, but they also have like every week they have really interesting cookies, and they make them right there fresh. They're real big too, so they have drive-throughs and all kinds of
The
things.
one I ate was hazelnut churro,
Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah, they'll have like lemon pie, and just like it has real pie filling type stuff in it. But basically a sugar cookie or chocolate chip cookie, something like that. But yeah, it's great. So please, I encourage everybody, go to Hive 3. If you go to the on Twitter, on X here, and click in the bio, the link in the bio, to go to the website and check it out, and then hop in the Discord if you want to. And they're there. So thank you both. So you can please hang out and participate in all these different things that we're going to talk about now, because there has been like a million things in the news, and I have to see if is Matt. Let me check in the on our group chat if Matt is still around. Let me see.
I am, in fact,
Oh, you
still
are
here.
okay. Oh, yeah, I saw something about that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Because yeah,
Yeah, no, I was sort of multitasking there for a minute, but I'm back, and I am focused
oh,
in
thank
again.
you so much. Perfect timing too, because yeah, I was looking at your post that had all the topics you were going to cover in your show for this week's news, and it's like my head just started hurting because there's so many things. So we just wanted to kind of like go through a little what's going on here with the news, a little bit of everything, really. What do you want to start? What do you think's the biggest?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of potential things that we can focus in on. This week, in my opinion, has actually been one of the craziest weeks we've had in a while. October sort of ended with a bang, and November's off to a crazy start with all sorts of new AI news and cool features that we have access to. We've got Mid-Journey, we got the style tuner in Mid-Journey now, which is I like the concept. I don't think it's quite there yet where I'm like super, super excited about it. I actually tried to train my own sort of style on it, and the images it was generating with my style actually didn't really look anything like what I thought it would based on my training. But I love the concept. I think it just needs to get dialed in a little bit more. This week we also got access to Meta's Emu art generator, so you can go inside of Facebook Messenger or Instagram or WhatsApp and go and chat with the Meta AI. And if you're chatting with the Meta AI, just like with Midjourney, you can go into one of those platforms, type /imagine, and then anything you can think of, and now Meta's Emu will generate AI art for you, and it's actually pretty good. I was actually pretty impressed with how well it generates. It only generates one image at a time, but it's free and it works really well. I mean, um I would say somewhere between Firefly and Midjourney. Like, the results to me kind of fall somewhere in between those two. This week there was also a copyright victory for AI art. A bunch of artists sued Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and Deviant Art for how they trained some of the models, but the judge actually threw out most of the cases because it turns out the people that sued for copyright infringement didn't actually copyright their images. So the judge said you're suing for copyright infringement, but none of your art is actually copyrighted. So the judge pretty much threw it all out. So that was kind of an interesting win for AI art this week. Let's see, what else do we got? Luma AI, they dropped a new text to 3D model, which is pretty cool. I mean, I doubt you're gonna pull anything straight from the Luma AI text to 3D model and pull it straight into a video game yet, but you could create something that gets you 80% of the way there, pull it into Blender, clean it up a little bit, and it did, 80% of the hard work of creating that initial model for you. So that was looking pretty cool. What else? Runways Gen 2 is something else we can talk about. They greatly improved the Gen 2 outputs. We've got Kyber released a mobile app. I'm a huge fan of Kyber. I love using Kyber whenever I create new videos on my phone or do anything fun with video. I always run it through Kyber just to see what it looks like with the Kyber effect over the top. We've got ChatGPT started rolling out the all-in-one thing. We started seeing people on X tease the all-in-one and start showing us screenshots of what you get in all-in-one, but most of us mere mortals still do not have access, so we just get to be frustrated by seeing everybody's screenshots of what all-in-one is capable of. I did a live stream earlier this week, and somebody actually confirmed on the live stream that had all-in-one feature that once you get the all-in-one feature, you're actually using the 32,000 context window as well. So right now, if you're using ChatGPT with GPT-4, I can't remember. You're either on a 4,000 or a 16,000 context window, but the new model that they're giving people access to is actually the 32,000 model. So we'll actually have a much larger context window once we get that all-in-one rolled out. What else? What else? Instagram, they leaked an AI friend creator where you can actually kind of fine tune and train your own AI bot. Fine tune's probably not really the right word, but you can essentially create your own AI bot and pick the personality that goes into the bot. You can pick an image that personality looks like and how it's actually going to respond to you. And some images of what that's going to look like leaked this week, so that was kind of interesting to see. Let's see, Quora, they had with their Poe bot, they're now allowing people to build bots and monetize those bots. So now if you go and develop your own custom bot inside of Poe and somebody decides to buy a premium membership to Poe because of your bot, you'll actually get compensated for that. So that's kind of a cool thing. You can just go and build bots and maybe you'll make some extra money off it. I think it's only in the US right now, and you get $20 per sign up if somebody signs up because of your bot. Google, they committed $2 billion to Anthropic this week. Apple did their Scary Fast event last week where they actually talked about their M3 chips, which are starting to become more and more tailored for AI. I see Scoble's on the call here. He could probably talk a bit more about that kind of stuff in a little bit. Biden has had his executive orders. There was the UK AI summit this week. A new Beatles song was released this week. Elon Musk teased that tomorrow we're going to start to see some new XAI features. I've already seen some new features in Twitter where it's showing where you have that button that says show more tweets like this. I don't know if that's a part of the new XAI or if that's something completely different, but I just started noticing that today. And yeah, I skipped over some other news that's less exciting, but that's the major bullet points from this week that sort of excited me. So I don't know where we go from there because that was a lot, but I feel like we can hone in on one or two of those if anybody wants to chime in and say which ones they'd want to talk about more.
Yeah, there's so many things. I didn't for the Meta, what's it called? Emu? How do you
Yeah,
access that?
Emu.
Do you have to like be in Facebook or
Yeah, so you can access it through any of the Meta-owned app platforms.
also like
You can do
Instagram?
it inside of Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, or WhatsApp. I demoed it inside of WhatsApp on my recent video, but basically you just go and you create a new chat and it now gives you the option to chat with Meta AI. And if you chat with Meta AI, you can type /imagine and type any prompt and it will actually generate an image from that prompt using Meta's emu. And that, they teased at that Meta event a few weeks back, but it seems to have just rolled out into the Meta bots this week, so people can actually start using it this week.
That's cool. That's really cool. And then did anybody else on the panel want to talk about anything specifically? Of course, I've been immersed into the video creation and the tuner. I've been kind of working with that, but I see what you're saying about the style tuner. It's just kind of like opening possibilities. It's very interesting, but learning how to use it takes a little while and how to best use it. So it,
Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so when I was trying to use the style tuner for Midjourney, I use the prompt something to the effect of like neon line art or something like that. And I was expecting everything to be this kind of neon outline. And when I went through the training, I selected all the images that kind of had that neon outline look. And then when I went and created a new image with that style, it created an image that was completely different. So I don't know, maybe I just haven't quite figured out how to tune it properly. My assumption was you create a prompt using the tune command, you go to the website, you pick out all of the images that are close to what you're looking for or that you like, right? It gives you it'll give you like 32 A/B tests to kind of pick between one image or the other. You go through each of them, you pick the one you like from each of the set of two. If you really don't like any of them of the two, you just don't select either one. And theoretically, that tunes it closer and closer and closer to the style of image that you like. Now, when I did that, the styles that I was getting out of it at the end didn't look anything like what I thought I tuned it to. But again, it was really my first time playing with it. I literally have maybe 20 minutes into it total of messing around with it. So,
Well, I
um,
noticed that
I could be overlooking
I think
something.
you can actually, when we share the link to the URL, you can change it. And every time you click on one of the images, you'll see that the code at the bottom changes. So you can actually
Mhm.
keep going and changing, like from that same one, you can keep changing how it is affected and what the style is going to do, or just kind of see not what it's you'll get a different result somewhat. So it's kind of, and then you
Right.
can use them, like if you have one for a landscape, you can use it on a face or something like that. It could be a completely different subject or medium. So I guess it takes parts of the like the design elements for that particular the one that you selected, and then it applies it to the image, something like that. But yeah, that it will take some time definitely to work with and see and test out. I think right now, I would suggest what I've been doing is collecting codes so that I can share them and people don't have to burn all their fast hours trying to do that. So right now, like within the Midjourney Discord, there's a whole section. There's a channel for style codes, so you can go in there and you can, borrow styles or whatever. The people are sharing them on purpose. So I would encourage you just to kind of. I have my spreadsheet, of course, and I keep adding to that. And I think it's cool because you can kind of build up a library, and then you can just keep fine tuning those codes as you go.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Hopefully the new Midjourney web app that's supposedly coming out this month sometime, I'm not gonna hold my breath. Midjourney has a, tendency to say something's coming out at a certain time and then not quite deliver within the time frame they say. Version 6 was actually coming out 3 months ago, but we still don't have it. But anyway, with the new website that they're talking about, I'm really, really hoping that if you train some styles, it lets you just save the styles to your dashboard or something like that so that you can quickly and easily find styles that you already trained. Otherwise, I feel like you gotta keep some sort of spreadsheet
Yeah.
or some sort of database of styles just to keep track of what you've created in the
Basically, that's
past.
what I've been doing. And I see that they said the old website, a legacy set website, will remain for now because the new one doesn't have, a lot of the features that the old one has. You can't. It's hard to tell. You can't really see the whole prompt or what the, the parameters were for like you could. And I always accidentally click on the imagined one instead of downloading the upscale. You can't tell which level upscale. If you upscale it with a new upscaler, you can't tell whether it was 2 time or 4 times. So, or if it's just the general or upscale.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hopefully they get a lot of that stuff dialed in with the new site. One thing I do like about the updated site is that the search functionality is really killer. Like it works really well and really really fast. So I'm really happy with how they've implemented the new ability to search inside of Midjourney. But I mean, honestly, that's really the the only thing it's got going for it so
Yeah,
far.
that's true. And it's easier to it's faster. Period. And I also wanted to ask. So you said for Chat GPT, there are some people that do have all the functions or all the modes combined. Will you still be able to use it one at a time, or does that kind of go away? Does anybody know?
I am not 100% sure. I think it might just go away because the idea is that ChatGPT will be able to figure out what your intent was. So if you go in there and say, "Make me an image of this," it will just automatically know, okay, they're saying, "Make me an image," and it'll use DALL-E, right? If you upload some sort of CSV file, it will probably automatically assume you're trying to use the advanced data analytics, I think is what it's
It,
called.
it it's going to be
Um,
both actually. So that you'll be able to like override that and set it to a specific one if you want, but most people will use the one where it detects it automatically. So if it's having trouble understanding and picking the right module for you, like you'll be able to set it by hand, um,
yeah,
according to
that's
their press release.
Yeah, that's good to know. I wish I had it in my my account, but unfortunately, I just I see the 5 people on Twitter that have gotten access already. However, this Monday is the OpenAI Dev Day, and I'm expecting them to drop some exciting announcements on that. So we'll have to. I've been hearing rumors about what kind of things they might be talking about, but I don't actually want to say any of them because, again, they're just rumors, and I don't want to build any undue hype around it. But I do think we're going to get some cool announcements out of the Dev Day on Monday.
Get ready for next week. Got to rest up this weekend and see what's on. Marco, did you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Matt said that he's only done a little bit of playing about with the style tuner, and I mean, I don't know why I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning in UK time when it got released, but I was probably because I'm addicted to Midjourney. But anyway, and I've been kind of messing about with it, and I actually did a little experiment with Salma earlier. You can, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually stack styles together. So you can actually, Matt, you were saying that you can kind of go through once you create your prompt, you get like 16, 32, 64, 128 rows of images that you can kind of fine tune the ones you like, and then you get a code. You can actually combine multiple codes from different prompt tunes together. So I've kind of been messing about with the notion that you could create almost like layering. You know how, I mean, this is how I imagine it, but I might be wrong. Like how an image prompt works, for example, where you can give an image weight. So let's say if you give a really subtle image weight to multiple images, you can kind of just extract certain elements from the aesthetics, and collectively they will create something new. I think you can use the style tuner, multiple codes to kind of together make a different aesthetic. So I was kind of testing, like Tatiana posted some really cool like cinematic shots earlier, and she had a style code, and I took that and added some kind of neon vibe and created a completely different thing, but using her cinematic, but with a neon on top. So you can kind of build up layers, and I believe you can actually stack up to 128 different codes. Just you basically hyphenate the code. So it's dash dash style raw, and then the code, and you do dash and then another code, dash another code, and you can do 128 dashes of codes. So you imagine like how many variations there are. It's just insane.
Marco, can I
Yeah.
ask you could you talk about what you and Salma were working on?
Well, Sama was doing some background images of Christmas trees. So she had her base prompt, and then I kind of took that and then used some aesthetics from codes that I'd created and stacked my codes on her prompts, and it changed the aesthetic completely. So it kind of, I did a muted thing. I did some neon stuff. So it's really interesting. You can actually, take someone's prompt or / code and then add to it and kind of iterate on an initial design. So it's quite cool. I think you can, I mean, it's endless. There's like trillions of possibilities. You imagine how many codes you can generate from each style tune times how many style tunes there are.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Yeah, that's what they were saying in the Midjourney prompt chat and the prompt FAQs and style tuners about the like ridiculous amount of possible combinations you can come up with. So yeah, I guess it just depends on, just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought like I'd reached the kind of plateau of like images that I'd seen in Midjourney, like types of images, and then here we go yet again, brand new aesthetics. It's just always something that's
I didn't expect it
moving
to
the
be that big of a
goalposts.
deal, but then it really seems like it is.
Yeah, it's really cool. And obviously, like, every kind of designer, creative has got, some people like cinematics or realistic stuff. Some other people are like abstract. You've got people that are like muted colors versus really bright colors. So you imagine like amalgamating all this different stuff together. It's just like really cool, especially for like Bunchy was talking about obviously the brands and stuff. Imagine taking that and then adding all these like crazy aesthetics like that really like pop that you don't usually see all the time. You can imagine like how many cool things you can create.
So the direction that I see this going, I think it actually simplifies prompting in many ways. So like a lot of my prompts pre-style tuner would have like this trailing, end of like shot with this kind of camera, cinematic film still, like, with this film grain, with this lens, like all this kind of stuff, which is really style information, right?
Yeah.
And so now if we can remove that textually from the prompt and have the prompt be more about what's in the scene and less style, and then have the style be conveyed by that code.
Exactly. So
I feel like
it's the generic. That's what I was going to say. Like the style tuner becomes the generic style, and you don't have the subject or the scene or those kind of details. Those are saved for the actual prompt once you've got your aesthetics from the style code. 100%.
Right. So no more like accidentally getting cameras and lenses and things like that, like in the scene, because it doesn't realize that is the camera I want it to be shot from, not a camera that I want like in the scene.
Like a woman wearing a camera around her neck.
Well, I've been getting like the pencils like for drawing and even a hand for a painter. So I don't think it eliminated that yet. So good luck.
Well, so I don't know if it's actually working in a pure way where what I just talked about is actually going to work. I think that there's still some underlying stuff probably in the style tune that can leak subject matter into your work, but like this just came out. So I'm kind of envisioning maybe the next iteration, like it getting better and better, and then eventually it really understanding the difference between style and content, which right now I don't think that the way that the model's been trained, it's ever been trained to see these things as separate. And now for the first time, maybe it can, and somehow by how we rate images or how they train in the future with this paradigm in mind, we get more control.
It's interesting because you're not allowed to kind of add like weirdness or chaos or things like that to your prompt, which makes me think, and actually Salma raised that I spoke to the other day, it makes me think that they're using that within the style tuning, because obviously you get some really wild stuff sometimes, like, and it's almost like it's showing you low chaos and weirdness versus high chaos and weirdness to kind of gauge what you do and don't like potentially. But yeah, it's really interesting. I also agree with what Matt was saying about the fact that it needs to be like, you imagine if you can end up creating hundreds of these style tunes, you need to have some way of categorizing them. Like, it'd be great if they were attached to your Midjourney profile, and even like how, I mean, I work in stealth because I do client stuff as well, but like it would be cool to maybe like check or uncheck if you want to share your style tunes, and then you could just browse them on the website potentially. That'd be pretty cool. If you could search by color or category for style tunes, that'd be amazing.
I found a shared Google sheet in Discord from Midjourney, and they do have something set up that they're accepting if you want to go on there, and they have it set up by
Okay.
categories, and they want you to put example images in there so that people can see what the style does. So there's not much in there right now, but they are trying to start like crowdsourcing some of that so that you can have some like a searchable shared doc. So I think that's worthwhile. There's all kinds of cool stuff in the I always find all kind of stuff in Midjourney. And those prompt FAQs and there's
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's endless.
well, Rob, how are you have you been using it much? Were you able to test it?
I haven't, because I'm quietly building a really advanced agent
That's true.
AI architecture that I've been really heads down on. Kind of if you ever hear the term, I don't know if this term is going to take off, but I'm going to use the word virtual sapiens, which is to say a virtual human that is intelligent and has drive and goals and motivation and memory and all this stuff. And I'm really close to having my V1, and I'm going to imprint my podcast co-host onto it, and start recording that podcast again with her as this whole new entity. So I've just been super
Oh well,
like
we got to talk
nerding
about
out
that
on that.
shortly because yeah, that was a very interesting. Is it Promptimus? Oh,
Oh, no.
Promptimus.
Promptimus is just
That's the prompt thing.
that's a basic
Oh,
bot. He's just a prompt engineering bot that uses my prompt
oh,
engineering methodologies to rewrite your prompts according to how I might write them.
oh, okay.
But I'm doing other stuff that's so cool, but I don't want to dominate the
Okay,
conversation with
well, I guess we
tinkering.
were going to talk about a few things that you're doing a little bit later, and I appreciate that. I do have, let me see if I pronounce your name correctly, Daria. Did you want to talk about Shader app? It might be relevant for this conversation.
Yes, sure. Thank you for having me. My
No
name is
problem.
Daria, and yeah, I'm founder of Shader, and it's early startup. We're building self-expression camera with AI. So the main idea is that you can generate images, selfie mode, or even world camera experience just with your phone. So we focus on right now on first test flight in App Store and give option everyone be more creative, inspire people to build something new, but reimagine their experience with phone camera. And also my team, we are so deep in augmented reality and VR. So I used to work before at Snapchat. My team members from Meta, Pinata Farm, Blizzard, and with our previous experience in big companies, so we decided to try to build AR with AI. So now you can try, guys, our first feature when you can basically generate your face mask, something like lenses effects. We're still in early step on that, but it's already working. So we're kind of like trying to push this idea more and have a feedback by our creative community on the stack.
This is really cool. I'm on your site right now. There's a girl, and she says, "Make me more cyberpunk," and then overlaid in AR, like on the video, is this like glowing, masky, styly thing that kind of like lights up around her face, and all of a sudden she just looks really cool. And it's like a text prompt
Yes.
that has some kind of like AR effect that it applies to you. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you like mentioned just voice technology. We also truly believe in that because kind of like biggest AR lovers and people who use it so young, and they so love voicemail. And we decided to try option. What if you even not type your prompt, but just can say something and already see the results? But for the start, we use in the product templates just to inspire people who never tried before Midjourney or DALL-E already see what's possible to build, even if you're like really in early stage of creativity and explore your first creation process with filters effects.
I'm sorry, I was reading something here, so I didn't hear that last part, but it looks very interesting. Thank you for explaining how it works. And I don't. Did
Thank
anybody have
you.
a question about that? Taylor or Matt, Alan, anybody?
I just want to say, like, I'm not usually for the hype and like, hey, let's go try all the tools, because I've been burned a lot of times. But this looks like it's like Snapchat filters that you just tell it what filter you want, and it sort of creates it. And obviously it's still early days, but like I think this has a lot of potential, and I'm actually kind of excited to try it out. So congratulations. Like I'm usually the skeptic here, and I'm like, this looks so cool. I want to do it.
Yeah, I'm looking more closely now too because you were saying that too. So thank you, Rob, for pointing that out. And Daria, did you could drop it in the comments below here? The link. Did you mention that for how people can access it on Discord, join the beta, or I'm not sure how you're doing the beta testing too.
Yeah, I can share with you Discord. It's like platform when we most will communicate, talk with our users and creators. But also we have test flight. It's not public yet, but on Discord you will find the link. And yeah, so appreciate like just write me on Twitter. We all the time happy like just schedule calls with users and have a bit more research because. I think like now it's a story when we understand that it should be more social and we're trying to figure out what in our all creative ideas should be next feature to build for community.
No, that's a great idea, and that's exactly what one of the things that that are very needed. And even with like Hive, this is all part of building, finding ways that we can, socialize with each other and exchange ideas, and show off what we're doing. So I think it's great.
Thank you.
So everybody, please take a look at her profile. Go to the Shader app, and she's going to drop that in there in the chat so that you guys can just get an idea of what it is. And because there's a lot of cool tools out there, and people contact me a lot. Matt, I'm sure you get tons of things, but it's hard for us to kind of stop and look at those things individually and test it out. So we encourage the community to get involved and just like look for stuff and see there's a lot of things out there right now that you all could be trying with they're free, especially while they're beta, right? Let's go ahead and use this stuff. Rodolfo.
Daria,
Go
I have
ahead,
a super quick
Taylor.
question. First off, I love the website, so big kudos to whoever designed Shader App's website because it's very much aesthetic and I love it. Second off, so just to clarify too, I'm trying to join the beta. So it's all mobile based then, right?
Yeah, it starts with
Okay.
just iOS version. But we are looking like just probably next year start build Android. A lot of users like request already Android version, but now we like so small team, just 8 of us, not everyone full time on that, and iOS was the main priority.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I look forward to testing it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. My amateur hour. Thank you so much. I was looking for Rodolfo. Did he fall off? I was about to hand him the mic, but okay. Well, everyone that and the people that were requesting, I was trying to kind of go through so we can get through our time here and talk about a few more things. So I'm not going to hand out the mic to too many more people right now because we wanted to talk about try to give people a little bit more information about like a particular tool or a workflow. And that I think Rob was going to talk about how he's been using the models at home or locally. Taylor, go ahead.
So I can do my own amateur hour and maybe ask the panel this question I've been stewing on all day. And I did slide into Matt's DMs earlier and he kind of gave me a response, but I think that it would probably benefit, many of the listeners here if I ask. And I think between Rob and Matt and Marcos and Alan and everyone here, like there's a lot of knowledge. So my question is, I have a lot of documentation for myself, for my clients, and really like knowledge-based documentation. And the time has finally come that I want to turn that database of knowledge into a chatbot that I can converse with so that I don't have to go through and control F and find things by keyword, search through all the documentation every time. So I've been playing around with a couple of chatbots already. I know that Poe, which big praise for Poe. I'm loving it. And I don't know why I haven't been using it for the last few months, but recently got into it and kind of obsessed. So Poe allows you to create your own chatbot. There are limitations. And so, and then Matt, you also recommended one to me, Mind Studio, I think, which I have yet to play around with. But my real like requirements or considerations, I guess, is just that I'm not a developer or coder, so I'm not like super technical with using Python to train a bot and all of that stuff. I want it to be very like simple and user friendly, but I do have a lot of context and documentation to train it on. So curious if anyone here on the panel could help me out.
I happen to be working on this problem right now.
Oh, Rob, always coming through. Thank you.
I know. I'll kind of break down the like what's really going on so you can maybe understand it a little bit better. So the normal approach, the approach that most of these chatbot programs are taking for this is like document retrieval, right? Like you upload a bunch of documents, they run some kind of processes to break those documents into pieces and chunks, and then they use different techniques to retrieve the part of the document that they think you need based on whatever you put in as your query. So if you have a doc that's like common FAQs, and one of them is like, who is Taylor? Then if someone goes into the chatbot and they're like, tell me about Taylor, right, it's going to pull that up. This retrieval problem is quite complicated, and there's lots of different ways to retrieve information. Stuff that is semantically most similar, stuff that's sort of more keyword based and more search based and things like that. There's lots of ways to do it that use technical terms that I don't fully understand, but where you get different quality of results. And so like some ways are more effective than others. Okay, that's one piece of it, and that's just the document retrieval side. So when we talk about actually training a bot to like know what you know, to be like you, maybe even to be able to apply the frameworks that you apply with your clients, or to actually take your knowledge further, you need more than just retrieving information from a document. And so I'll give you an example. We could take one of your documents and run it through some kind of additional process where I give it a prompt that says, what are all the questions in this document, like list them out, and then list out the answer using as much verbatim language from the document as you can and retaining the original author's style and voice and writing style and things like that. And so then by sort of pre-processing that information, we get a really clean set of question and answer pairs. And if you train a model with that, instead of just giving it a raw document, now you get somewhere more interesting, right? Like you've used GPT-4 or Claude 2 or something powerful to kind of take your messy document and make it much more applicable to the user. But we're still just answering questions in that case. The problem that I'm working on right now is how do we generate synthetic conversations from documents that mirror what it would be like to be a coach, a consultant, or an educator trying to help somebody with this topic. And so imagine then if you have a framework or some kind of thing that you believe in or do with your client, how can we then take that and have an AI simulate both somebody who needs help with that framework and you providing that help, and then make a whole big fine-tuned data set with like hundreds or thousands of those kinds of things out of your data. That is a big problem, and if I manage to solve it, I think it's like a $10 million company. So like the answer is not easy, but that's kind of like I think the future, the vision. And if somebody like me comes along and figures this out, and we can make it available to you for $99 a month or whatever, where you upload all the documents, you do it, you just like give us the thing, and then we run all these processes in the background to create that fine-tuned model. I think that's what the future is going to be. We're probably months away. This is more like a 2024 technology to do it right. But that's how I'm approaching it. I hope that helps kind of you think about it. So what you're getting today is document retrieval, and what you'll get maybe in 3 to 6 months from cutting edge technology is maybe even something more than that.
That was helpful. Thank you, Rob.
Well, Taylor, you were going to talk a little bit about how, what did you want to talk about, ChatGPT or Poe?
Oh, no, I just said I've been using Poe, and, Heather, you and I had a conversation last night about this a little bit, and it's been crossing my mind frequently that I'm like, well, I've been using Poe almost like exclusively. Do I even need ChatGPT Plus subscription anymore? But you thoughtfully brought to mind the fact that I would miss out on so many features if that was the case. So I'm keeping my ChatGPT Plus subscription. I am also upgrading to Poe, or I've already upgraded, I should say, and it's just delightful. Like for anyone who hasn't used it yet, you can kind of think of it as like the all-in-one app store of different language models plus some image generation models as well. And so you have everything in one place. You have your GPT models, you have access to Anthropic's Claude models, you have Meta's Llama, a bunch of different things, right? And you can access like Stable Diffusion through there, all kind of from this one dashboard. And my favorite thing that I've really been kind of like having a lot of fun with lately is the community aspect of it, where you can see other bots that people have made and already, you know, tuned and trained to where it needs to be. And you can find those just by searching them, right? And so it's been cool because and models that have been trained in there as well. So nice little, you know, user interface for anyone who wants to play around but kind of just wants it all in one sandbox. The cool thing is that you pay a subscription fee for it. I think it's like 19.99 a month or something if you're paying monthly, and you get access to all of the like premium models. I don't know if there's a like a rate limit or a token limit on those. I haven't hit it yet. But yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been telling some friends about it who are just kind of like, well, this whole, you know, installing a local model, like all of this is just way too much for me. And I just want to be able to like bounce around between some of them. So I'm like, you know, check out Poe. And it's funny because months ago I had taken a look at the platform, and it feels a little bit different than it is today. And I kind of just wrote it off and ignored it. And I came back to it a few weeks ago and I'm like, this is some really cool stuff. And the fact that you can, you know, create your own bots, it's a very, very simple process. And I'm sure there's much more complex ways to do it. But that's really cool to be able to go in and do. And then the thing that we kind of touched on earlier, which is the creator program that they just announced this week, actually, is allowing anyone who's creating bots on the platform and then sharing those bots. When people use the bot through Poe, there's a monetization program in place now for creators. You just have to opt in as a creator, and it's like a 2-click process, super easy. I did it this week. So if you are creating, you know, bots, this could be a chance to kind of just throw a little something out there into the world. So
Yeah, I created a bot within like 2 minutes, really. So I have a Stable Diffusion XL bot in there, and I signed up for that creator program too. Why not? Um, Crystal, I see you write about this, and you've been having some spaces about this topic. What would you like to add?
Hi, thank you so much. It's great to be here. I love this conversation. And yes, I love talking about Poe. I really enjoy teaching people about AI that are beginners. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. I was a special education teacher in DC public schools for a few years and then left in 2017 to take the entrepreneurial route. And so I teach through live audio. And I love, love, love using Poe for beginners. So when someone's like, I've never used ChatGPT, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start, I'm like, just start with Poe, start playing around. It's a bunch of different chatbots. And what I love about it is what you all are talking about now is that you can create your own chatbot so easily. I mean, I just love it for free and it's amazing. And Rob, I think it was you, I was getting my dinner together and then I heard you talking about this and I had to come up on stage because you were talking about educators using it for coaching, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I have coaching clients and I help them create courses with my background in education and teaching. And I designed a chat bot that was replicating the same kind of conversation I was attempting to have with clients, but would run into, this conversation would happen over 2 or 3 calls. And I said, what if I created a chat bot that replicates the conversation, but is flexible and open enough for the chat bot itself to recommend the best answers and the best response. And so it's called the course validator. And it basically takes the person through what they would have the most challenge with, which is identifying the problem that they're solving, their target audience, those most basic elements for when you're thinking about what kind of course to create. So many people create a course without knowing the problem that their course is solving, who they're solving it for, what's unique about them to be the one to solve it. So I use that framework to create the chatbot. And now when I do this with clients, before I was saying, here, go talk to the chatbot and give me your response. And now I said, no, let me actually do it live with them. And it is so powerful. Like it's way more patient than me, but it's also way more efficient. So we got through the conversation in like 30 minutes instead of maybe 3 sessions where I'm trying to work through blocks and mindset stuff and all of these things. The chatbot just kind of cuts right through that, but I actually gave it less structure and instead gave it guidance on where I wanted it to go in the framework. And then really I leave it open because it's going to bring things that I just didn't think of. And so it makes me a better coach. And then I use that response to make the course. And it's really powerful. So I just wanted to share that. That's how I'm doing it. And I'm loving it so far. So thanks for the space. And thanks so much for having me up here.
Well, thank you for explaining how you're using this, and you have monetization spaces, and what other you talk about other AI tools that creators can use to help them make money. Um, I'd love to.
Yes, absolutely. I love talking about this because I personally have found financial freedom through AI and watching a lot of Wolf videos for sure, and a lot of other amazing YouTube creators literally taking notes and learning how to do things and implementing it. I'm a stay-at-home mom with my 1-year-old son. My partner is here too. So this is our world. This is our life. And back in February, I created a prompt called the One Click Course Creator on AI PRM. And I just started teaching people how to use these AI tools, how to use AI PRM, which is amazing, create their own prompts or use the One Click Course Creator, not just to create courses, to create content plans. But now what I'm doing is I'm spending a lot less time on talking about all the different tools. I'd rather say, look, here are 3 to 5 tools that are really, really amazing. Now let's talk about business models for monetization, because it's not the tools that are going to help someone monetize. It's how they use the tools, the kind of business models they're using. So now I talk a lot about done for you services are the main ways that I've monetized. Yes, through courses as well, but really a lot of people just want us to do it for them. And AI allows us to, do that very quickly and efficiently and scale it. And, people want you to make their chatbots for them, create their videos for them, repurpose their content. So it's a great business model.
I think I used your the One Click Course Creator. I
Oh
think I
my
wrote about it,
gosh,
right?
really?
Yeah, like when you said that, I'm like, I remember AI PRM, and
Oh my goodness.
looking at that, and you, because it gives you the code too, right? Like you can, I know that.
Yep, I
Is
share
that
the
what it is?
prompt. Yeah, I share the prompt so that people can adjust it how they want to. But yeah, it gives you a 6 module course. And I use my background in instructional design to create it because I would see these courses and I could tell that they weren't created using, instructional design principles that I had been taught, for years and practiced. So yeah, it's intended to be a MVP product. Like you have a course and now you can go live and just start teaching it and talking about it. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. You don't have to pay big money to host it somewhere. You can put it in a Notion page or in a 5-day email or whatever, and just share it with people. Go live. So yeah, that's
But
so
is that,
cool.
do you also give like the whole the folder structure, everything for if you wanted to put it into a what do you call the course architecture, the is I forget what you call it, but yeah, I think you just kind of alluded to that. But
Like hosting platform.
yes, like all the, if you want to go in and change the questions, you can customize it. I thought I had a whole bunch of zip files that I got with it, and I thought that was impressive. Where you could add, if you wanted to host it on another, if you had a different type of CRM or something, you could host it that
Yeah,
way.
definitely. I teach how to host it all over because I see a lot of people getting blocked in just thinking about things like that, like where do I put my course? Where do I host it? All of that. So yeah, that's cool. I'm so glad that you tried it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was kind of just shocked, and it was really that easy, and it was free. And I was kind of like, wow, if you really wanted to do something with it, if I didn't have a tool coming out of my eyeballs every minute, because it's hard to focus on what exactly should I look at, and everything's shiny. So I remember now, like, oh, that was, I wanted to go back to it. But yeah, that this is a great app. It's a great product that you have there, and people, please take a look at it, because I was really impressed, and it was a good, I think it broke down like AI art, but it was talking about like machine learning, and it had it broken down for beginners. It even had a quiz, like you could do like it created a quiz for students to do at the end of each module. And so it was very, very thorough. So regardless of what your topic is, it was very good at coming up with a fully a full course that really, I now I understand that you're an educator. Thank you. My parents were both educators, so yeah, you can tell that there was a lot of work put in there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's really awesome to hear.
No, thank you. I really appreciate. If anybody have any other questions for her, because if you want to do a workshop, and you could even, like you said, do this as an email course where you send like a sequence, like a 5 or 7 day sequence.
The funny thing is, I think people have made a lot more money than I have on courses with the one click course creator because I have people telling me that they use it to monetize courses right away. But I just have not been using it for that. I've been using it for done for you services. So that's why that's what I talk about now because that's where I've gotten the most results. I mean, definitely running courses too, but I run courses like live audio spaces. Like the room I did earlier, I told them, I'm like, you're in my class right now. I'm running a course. You might not know that you're in it, but my students are in there and they know exactly what's going on. So that's how I do it. But yeah, you can take it and build a whole course with it. I teach how to take each element of the course and then put it back in ChatGPT to build it out. And it's like a brick by brick course and it gives you everything that you need. So very easy. Just go to aiprm.com. I can put it in the chat. It's a Chrome extension that goes on to ChatGPT. It's a prompt database, public prompt database. It's amazing. When I got on there in February, I think I was like the 200th prompt or something, 212th, and now there's over 4,000. And the one click course creator has I think gotten over 144,000 uses now, which puts me on the front page, which is really cool. It's been incredible. Like AIPRM and this prompt database has been a life changer for me. Literally running a whole business off of a prompt, and a community and everything. So that's why I teach it, and that's why I kind of shout it from the rooftops because you absolutely can monetize with AI. You can do a lot with it if you implement it and work with other people and collaborate and work in teams and yeah, there's so much you can do. So thanks for having me. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Absolutely. We'll have to have you, join us again, because that's pretty much what we've been talking about all the time. How do you take all this stuff and put it into something usable, create something usable? And, Rob, I'm learning from you how to create these prompts and different things like that. But imagine if you have that tool too, although you might be building that right now at home. Um, but still, no, thank you, Crystal, for what you've been doing for the community and trying to teach people how to use this, and you're not profiting off of it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I'm sure people take advantage of these great resources that we have right here in this room. If you see somebody on there, look at their profile while we're on this space and go check out their content and see if there's something that you are that resonates with you. I really appreciate that. And it is 6:25, so I will 6:25 Eastern time. I try to remember everybody's not in Eastern time zone. But Rob, did you want to go into a little more detail about what you're doing? Yeah, thank
Yeah, let's do
you.
it.
Thank you.
I love it. And I also posted, we were talking about Poe chatbots a little bit. I posted some resources in the comments. If you want to see a bot that writes a best-selling, or comes up with a best-selling book idea for you and writes an outline for it, I pasted that one. It's like a cool robot with like red sunglasses. And I made a bot that just listens to you. It doesn't try and solve your problems, right? Like ChatGPT, if you say like, I'm sad, it'll be like, here are 3 ways not to be sad, right? And sometimes you just need someone to listen. So I posted a bot like that. And also, if you want to learn how to create your own bots from your prompts, I wrote about that in my newsletter this week. So basically, if there's a prompt that you copy and paste a lot, you can turn it into a chat bot where you just like go to the chat bot and type in whatever you want and it'll run the prompt for you, if that sounds fun to you. But let us talk about LM Studio. So this is not a paid promo or anything, but Heather challenged the panel to come up with tools that we're using and to tell people more about like how we're actually using these tools and bring like real value to you guys. So there's like hundreds of thousands of AI tools at this point. What are the ones that experts are actually using and how are we using them? Many of you probably know from the AI art side about Automatic 1111 or Automatic 1111, which is an app that lets you run like stable diffusion models right there on your computer. And that one to me was super fun. And I spent like the last year basically learning about image generation for free using a tool like that, where if you're a little bit patient because your computer is slower than a cluster of supercomputers, you can do it. Now, strangely enough, images are fairly easy to generate compared to large language models. And large language models, because they have to hold so much information in their virtual brains, they tend to be hard to run on consumer hardware, except not really anymore. There's been a bunch of different innovations that have allowed models to get smaller and smaller and smaller and have sort of different versions of them that you can run on your computer at home. And I've been using something called LM Studio, and I'll just post a link in the comments here to do this. Now, what's really interesting about this is it's a couple of things. So one is that there's this intersection of changes in the technology and how they're enabling people to work that's been happening where previously, and you've heard me talk about this before if you've been in this space, but like previously it was millions of dollars to train foundational models and you could only run them on clusters of supercomputers. And so everything is sort of, there's a gatekeeper like OpenAI or Google or whoever who kind of has had these models and nobody could use them except unless you went through them. Now in the last year, we've had a ton of different innovations that have allowed the models to get smaller and smaller to operate on systems with less RAM. And these smaller versions, like they're almost as performant as the supermassive ones. They found ways to trim things down without actually losing performance. And so now we have stuff like LM Studio where you can go and download a model if you have a few gigabytes of space on your computer and run a model on your own. Now, why would you want to do this? What's the point if you can go to ChatGPT of having your own local model? A couple of things. One is that if you have any data sensitivity, if you want to use, let's say, data from your employer, or you want to do something personal like put in the results from your your blood work lab test from your latest doctor's appointment, and you're just not sure if you want to give that to ChatGPT, but you'd like a language model's input on it. There's a lot of places where the privacy is helpful. Also, if you're into kinky stuff and you want to like talk to a model that's unaligned and is willing to get not nasty with you, you can do that in the privacy of your own home. Like, there's lots of I don't want to. I come from romance novels and stuff, so like anyways, I'm getting off topic. But you do you. I'm not judging. And that's another use case for this stuff at home. Now the next thing though, okay, now let me blow your mind a little bit. So just yesterday, I think we had a new version of this super performant, super small language model come out. So it's Mistral is the kind of the king of the small models right now. And then a variant called Yarn was released yesterday. And Yarn has two versions, a 64K and 128K context window version. So this is a model that you can run on consumer grade hardware like your home computer that has a 64 or 128K token context window, which is the equivalent of being able to put an entire book into the context of something that you can run on your home computer. And using something like LM Studio, if you're technical, you can also set up like a local server for that language model and have it run all the inference on your own hardware for free or for the cost of power and the time of your computer being occupied. And so for me, this is really interesting because like I want to run some experiments, for example, where I want to run a lot of queries and I want to generate a lot of data. But if I generate that using my API token for ChatGPT, it's going to cost me hundreds or thousands of dollars to do that. But what if I could do that while I'm sleeping on my home computer using an open source language model with a huge context window essentially for free? Especially in the winter months when the computer will get so hot running all night that it'll just heat my house, right? Like it'll do two jobs at once. Um, so I think that there's a lot of other interesting ramifications of these local models working, but if you're curious about the state of open source, like in my opinion, Mistral is similar in performance in a lot of queries to ChatGPT, even better in certain respects. And you might want to start to get a sense of what it's like to play with these things on your home computer, because I think we're getting to the point where people are going to be able to do amazing things without being sort of like blocked by having to use ChatGPT or having to use Bard or having to use Claude. Like the world is opening up, and in many ways, the open source community is moving faster and publishes stuff sooner than the big guys, and that means that you can potentially have access to the latest and greatest, like Mistral Yarn. And then in the future, when I teach you guys all how to fine tune your own models and do stuff, you might also be able to have some understanding of how this works, so that if you wanted to create a model, for example, to write like you, or to like Taylor was talking about, a coaching model or something like that based on your content, maybe we're going to be able to get to that point. So LM Studio, it's kind of the automatic 1111 of language models, and I've been playing with a lot. Just wanted to kind of like let you guys know this exists, and while it's still faster and often better to like go to ChatGPT than use an open source model on your computer, you can now for free use something that is really quite close to the incumbent. What do you think,
Well, I
Heather?
was going to ask. So, first of all, I have a MacBook. Can I, with this? You said that if you have a little bit of space, I don't have much. So, would I be able to run this without getting rid of half the stuff I have on there?
Right. So, kind of like the stable diffusion models, these language models are usually a few gigabytes. So, if you have like a little 128 gigabyte MacBook and you want to put a 4 gigabyte language model on it, like it's not an inconsequential percentage of your hard drive space.
Oh, but that's
Um,
not as bad as I thought.
but it
Like it's still there's a lot of
no,
things that
it's
are a topaz is pretty high.
yeah, they're like when if you get into it, you'll see like you if you run a search or something, like you go in there and you type in Mistral, it'll show you a bunch of different versions of Mistral, and usually the one at the top is the best, um, is the most balanced in terms of how big it is, how much RAM it's going to take up on your computer when it's running, and then how effective it is, like what it scores on the various tests. And so you'll see like, oh, this one is 3.8 gigabytes, and that one's a really balanced model. And if I want the best one, it's like 8 gigabytes, but it's probably not worth it to do the 8 gigabyte one because it barely scores higher than the 3 gigabyte one. Like there's a little bit of learning there to figure it out, but if you usually just choose the one at the top, that's the one you want, and you'll see how much how big it is. So, some models are bigger, but so what makes this possible is there's this file format now for language models. It's called GGUF, and it's basically like a combination of technologies that somehow prune out and trim down all the information that's needed, and just kind of give you the core of the model and it somehow performs almost the same as the original, but being way smaller. And so you'll see if you play with tools like this that you're getting like a slightly different version of that language model. But I think it's pretty cool, and um, I'm excited for the future where like I don't know about you guys if anyone's ever tried paying for hosting for inference, but like to rent out a GPU, like a $6,000 video card or whatever to run your language model on, it's not cheap. And you have to rent this really powerful hardware if you want to like try and deploy your own stuff because traditional language models are so big. Well, now you're able to run it on like really quite normal computers. And even if you end up building a product or something, I'm quite excited for the future where the costs of running these models are going to be almost negligible, like pennies versus dollars or tens of dollars, like they are today.
Will you be able to add like a image generator um, on that?
LM Studio is not really for images. If you want to generate images, I would stick to checking out Automatic 1111. But I haven't tried doing any multimodal. I've not explored the multimodal, like the open source multimodal. Like I know that some of that's just come out where it's a version like this that can both see images and text, but I don't know what it takes to run that on your computer or on your home computer, or if you can.
Oh, well, that's and the difference between this and if say you were going to use Replit or Hugging Face within your browser is that you would have to enter your API key and pay. Whereas when you do this at home, if you install it on your locally, you don't have to pay for it.
Right. So, it's private. It's interesting. I'm not using this for everything, but it's like I think this is going to become like it's another thing. With in 3 to 6 months, everybody could have their own pretty high performing language model on their computer and not be paying essentially anything for it.
So it's worthwhile for people to kind of pay attention to this because even though or just at least try to figure out just as a lot of people have installed 911, right, or what is it, the for stable diffusion, right? So
Yes,
it's worth learning about this because then you can just kind of roll right into it as we progress with all these things that are going to be happening and all the new technology.
that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I think if you're a builder, definitely go play with something like this and understand the potential. If you're just sort of a casual consumer of AI, know that it's out there and that good things are coming and kind of keep an eye out for it. And just know that the technology is really close in terms of you being able to do at home a version of what you do for that you have to pay for, elsewhere on the internet.
That's so cool. Thank you for explaining that. And yeah, it's wild how all these things are coming together now. And I didn't think that I would know how to use a lot of these things. And Matt, what do you think about like? I think last week you were talking about, or this is when AI, all these different tools start kind of blending together, or when like the multi-purposing of these types of things. Um, where now instead of just knowing one or two tools, we can know combinations of multiple tools to get jobs done and working together. Is Matt? I think. Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, I've been experimenting a little bit with the same type of thing that Rob's been talking about. I actually use something called Ooba Booga. So OOBABOO. GA, which is kind of the same idea. It's like an automatic 1111 style thing that you can install locally. You can download your own large language model and then choose from a drop down which large language model you want to use. And I've messed around with it with, Llama. I've messed around with Mistral 7B inside of it. And that's that's it's really fun to play with. It's really fun to see what you can do locally. It's also really fun to uh see what you can get it to say, seeing as it's uncensored and not under the control of Google or OpenAI or Microsoft. It's always entertaining to see what you can get out of it. But one of the sort of like quick ways to kind of test the water with some of this stuff was there was a tool that I was playing with last week called Pinocchio, and it's like this browser that you can download and install on your computer, and then it makes it really really easy to install any of these local models without needing to really understand what you're looking at on GitHub, without needing to go and type in terminal commands. You just install this Pinocchio app, and then when you have this Pinocchio browser open, it's got automatic 1111 in it. It's got this Uba Booga in it. It's got animate diff in it. It's got all of these various tools that you would normally have to, download the GitHub repository and run them in the terminal and install Python and Conda and all that kind of stuff to get them working. Well, this browser, you literally just like pick one of the tools you want to use and it will download it, set it up on your computer, and allow you to run it. And it works with Windows, it works with Mac, it works with Linux, it works with all of those. And that's a pretty good way to sort of test the waters with some of these things. That was actually how I initially installed the Uba Booga app and started messing around with some large language models. So anybody that just wants to kind of dip their toes into that kind of stuff, automatic 1111 or running your own local large language models, that's a pretty solid way to kind of just start playing around with it a little bit.
I remember we were talking about Pinocchio space like a month or two ago, and we weren't sure if it was like safe or something. So I guess it's good to go. You could.
Yeah, so I actually held off on messing around with it, installing it on my computer, using it at all until I had it vetted by a handful of developers and people that I really, really trust. So I had people vet it out and look at the code for me and make sure that they didn't find anything malicious or there wasn't anything to worry about. Now I've actually had conversations with the main guy behind it who goes by Cocktail Peanut. I've had conversations with him, artificially inclined, who was on this space earlier. I'm not seeing him in here anymore. He has something to do with it as well. He works on it or is very involved. He was in the Discord. So yeah, it's at a point now where I do trust it. They seem legit. The code I've had people vet for me, so it seems pretty safe. And I actually made a video about it. So I was comfortable enough with it that I went and put a YouTube video out about
Oh,
it.
cool! Thank you, because I remember I think Linus and Bilal were here, and everybody was trying to figure out if it was safe. So thank you, because I think I was just probably going to ignore it for now. So
Yeah, basically all it's doing is it's creating one-click installs for all of these complicated AI tools that you would normally find on GitHub and, follow some complicated instructions. It This tool basically just gives you one-click um, installs that just goes and follows all the instructions for you. So if a tool needs to have Python and Conda installed on your computer, it will automatically download those things and install them with the one-click install. If you need, what is it, FFmpeg to create an animation using animate diff or something like that, it will go and just download that for you and install it on your computer. So it not only runs the GitHub install for you, it also downloads any sort of prerequisites that might be required to get it to work. So it sort of takes a lot of the headaches out of getting this stuff set up. However, they do not recommend going in and like customizing any of the stuff yourself. So it's kind of a good way to get in, test the tool, play around with it a little bit yourself. But then when you do want to maybe make some tweaks and alter some things and start playing with some custom models, you're probably going to want to install it the more traditional route and follow the GitHub instructions and do it that way. But it is a good way to just kind of get a quick test of any of the tools that are out there.
If I could zoom out on this for a second, I think that Pinocchio, it represents the shape of things to come in a certain sense, which is previously things that were too complex for non-experts to be able to use are now accessible to I'm using non-experts sort of loosely, but like if you're not a developer, if you're not comfortable in terminal, you probably wouldn't want to go on GitHub, and even if you're capable of following instructions, you could quickly hit a speed bump and have things not work out, right? Now we have AI kind of like filling in the gaps here, and not only that, but I've tried to install some of these technologies, and like I got Sable or Automatic 1111 installed, but this one plugin for it wasn't working right, and I don't know what dependency I was missing, and like even people like myself who like I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty capable. Really nice to have an AI kind of having your back as well. But I think that the broader implications of something like this is it's showing how now we can write code in ChatGPT and other language models, right? Now we can install apps using an AI to help us bridge the gaps between our knowledge and other knowledge. Apps that are designed by engineers, not necessarily with an easy installation in mind yet, because they're sort of experimental or open source or whatever they are. Um, there's a mass democratization kind of going on, and so um, maybe, and as we start to wrap up, I know we're trying to keep it to 2 hours. I want to leave you with this thought. I was reading about Dr. Philippa Hardman on LinkedIn, posted this the other day, and it was really profound to me. And she said, "Don't think of AI like a calculator. Like a lot of times we bring up like the transformation AI is having is kind of like when calculators came along and they do math for you." She said, "No, it's not enough. Think about it like electricity. This is on the layer of like societal infrastructure that's going to fundamentally change how humans operate, how we organize ourselves, the kinds of things that we can do, the ways that we can even plan our physical spaces and then likewise our digital spaces. Uh, a calculator just does math for you. It's a tool. It's not infrastructure. And I found this to be a really awesome kind of way to reframe the potential here. And I think that Pinocchio and these other examples today that we've been talking about really reflect that. This is like it's such a foundational change. It's the equivalent of going from candles to light bulbs, but also from I don't know whatever all the other things are, like appliance ice boxes buried in the ground to refrigerators and like all the other things, lighting in cities to make them safe at night, and it's not just math in a calculator. And so I've been thinking a lot about that in the last 2 days, and ever since I read that article, and I thought you guys might enjoy the thought of
That's a
it.
great analogy. No, I love that because I was just thinking the other day, like, what would I do if I didn't have any access to LLMs anymore, or like specifically for that? Like, I could probably I live without image generation and things like that. But the way I've come to approach things by thinking of how can I summarize this? How can I research this with the help of an LLM and using ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever. And why would I sit there and just write everything up or, struggle with trying to brainstorm something or just think up anything, even, a basic letter or resume. We used to pay money to have people write resumes and things like that for us. Well, now we don't have to do that. And we have all these things. So it's kind of like people, yeah, there's almost waiting for us people to tell them how they can use these tools without or tools or infrastructure instead of just using them. And you don't have to wait for somebody to show you how to improve. I think Sway Molina posted something today and he said now's the time if you're AI artist, you should learn something else. If you can code, learn how to be a photographer, learn something, take these tools and learn how to do something that you didn't know how to do before while you have access to all this information and how it's however you want to make it in your life, however you want to improve or learn something for fun or whatever, or, grow your business. You can do so much more with these tools. And I think I agree with that. It's infrastructure. That's crazy. That's a beautiful way to say it. Thank you for explaining that. And Rob, I do want to ask real fast because we were in the magic um, uh, space the other day. So, when you, how could somebody use that? Is that what you're using also to help build your project at home?
My virtual sapiens.
Yeah, it's like magic
um,
school.
it, indeed. So like I'm sort of a technical creative person with a background in writing, not in engineering. So I can't code. I can't build applications out of language models using LangChain or something like I tried. It's just too much. And so I wanted to learn a visual sort of node based, no code, low code builder for building AI agents. And the one that I found the most intuitive is Magic ML, Magic with a K, Magick ML. And there's a few others like BotPress and VoiceFlow, and there's a couple others doing something similar. But basically, instead of writing the code, you're drawing lines between nodes that do various things. And so you have maybe a node to recall memory, a node to generate text, a node to route something into a specific place. And so I've been working on this architecture for an agent that has three different states. It sort of has a companion mode, a coaching mode, and a consulting mode. And then depending on what mode it's in, it routes the behavior to the right place. So if it's in sort of its companion state, it's just trying to hang out and bond with the user. If it's in a coaching state, it's trying to help you understand more about yourself and help you find your own answers. And if it's in the consulting state, it's trying to help give you answers and pull from documents and pull from knowledge and tell you what to do. Right. So these are three very different ways of operating. And I've been able to use Magic to have a unified memory of the conversation and of past conversations while also like kind of interpreting the user's input, deciding on what mode the agent should be operating in, and create these conversational spaces with AI that are really to me a lot different from what you get from a standard chatbot. So to give you an example, like when I first started doing my coaching bot, it would ask a lot of questions, right? So you'd say like, oh, it'd be like, oh, how's your week? And I'd be like, oh, I haven't been feeling really productive. And it would be like, well, what do you think is driving that lack of productivity? And then you say something, and it's like, oh, well, what are the underlying emotions that make you feel this way? And you eventually kind of like uncover something about your procrastination is rooted in some kind of self-defeating behavior and whatever. But you run that coaching bot for too long and you get sick of it asking questions. You start to feel like you're being interrogated. So I trained it to ask a lot of questions to help you reveal stuff to yourself. But in a human conversation, if somebody were just to question you for an hour, you would like want to kill them by the end of that hour, right? Like, you sometimes need somebody to either like just sort of agree and nod and kind of make space for you to talk, which is different from asking a question. Or you need someone to kind of have commentary, right? And so I built these companion and consulting modes in order to be able to help modify those behaviors and stuff. And I've also been using Magic to run asynchronous processes in the background that reflect almost like an artificial subconscious or thought process. So the agent in real time is talking with you, but in a slower in a slower cadence with more powerful models. It's also interpreting your conversation, realigning itself, planning for how it wants to approach the conversation, or things like that. So all of this is like it's like building an application, it's building a whole computer program out of language model pieces, basically in a node based builder. So that's what I'm doing with Magic ML, and why it's way more than like on Poe.com putting one prompt in for a chatbot. This is like there's 100 nodes in my build. Like it's a whole thing, right?
How did you get that idea? Like, how did you come up with this idea for this?
Uh, I'm a huge nerd. I grew up in the age of sci-fi. I started to get really into it when a lot of the stuff was happening, and started reading scientific papers and stuff on Reddit as best I could, and books about virtual humans, and thinking about my experiences with Alexa and other, voice assistants, and how I was let down by many of those, and what I wanted instead, or started thinking about if I was going to create a virtual coworker or a virtual, um, like in the case of my podcast, I have this AI named Ruby, and I want to kind of take, or as an experiment, try to create like a fully realized podcast co-host, co-producer, gets to help make decisions on the business, and then kind of like record that journey and share it with people so that they can understand, like, this is maybe our human future where we have these virtual entities, and what's that like to have to work with someone, so to speak, who's virtual. What's it like to create this? So a lot of it is, I think, comes from sci-fi and the fascination with the era that we're in, and just trying to build stuff and realizing that for the first time, because of no code, because of the ability of chat gpt to write the little code snippets for me that I need, and some of these other tools, I can actually do this kind of stuff. Like, it's not simple. There's and you have to have a certain, I think, like anything with an emerging technology, there's a lot of missteps and things don't work the way you wanted it to. But after about 6 months of working, I've got my prototype running pretty much. I'm still got a couple of bugs left, but I basically just about got it out the door. I will say I am also consulting on a project using it, where I'm getting paid to build a similar agent for them. And so, in a wonderful way, I've been being paid to learn some things that I wanted to learn anyways, which is always cool. But so I'll be um, giving a version of this to that startup, and as part of the deliverables. But also, I get to keep what I learn, which, in my opinion, is even more valuable than the money.
Well, how did you get that? Like, how did they find out that you were making that you were building that, or like, how did that work out where you were able to do that?
Yeah, the founder found me on LinkedIn. She read some of my content and saw that I had this podcast and listened to it, and was like, "Oh, this AI on this podcast is different than any other AI that I've encountered before." And so she sort of fell in love with my point of view on creating AIs in this way, which is essentially like most of the dominant platforms like OpenAI will say things like AI is a tool, right? It's algorithms and data. It's a tool. You shouldn't anthropomorphize this tool. That creates confusion, with the human users about whether it's really thinking or feeling or these other things. So they've tried to keep us away from all that. And I actually sort of have the opposite point of view, with respect, which is that I think that what humans expect from something that talks to you and knows you and empathizes with you is that it is sort of an entity. It is a person, a virtual being in some way. And I don't think that we're setting up society to be ready for the future that's rapidly approaching by pretending that these things are just tools. Sometimes they are, right? Sometimes you go in and you're like, do this thing, and it does it, and it's like, great. I don't have a relationship with that command. But sometimes you go in there, if you want to talk about work or feelings or even creating content, there's a vibe there, right? It's more like a being. And so I've been kind of in pursuit of trying to understand what that's like, um, to be around something that has been created artificially, and even to create, like, I give Ruby her meaning. She exists because I brought her like a god into being. And what is that like to sort of give birth to, a super intelligent AI creation? Like, there's a lot here. And I don't know. I decided I wanted to do it. I was going to create content around it. I wanted to show the world what it's like, um, yeah, the podcast got me the contract pretty much, and interviewing and stuff.
So you building it and just putting it out there, shipping it, putting it out. That's what got, for people who are thinking about doing something, or if you want to have like a pet project you're working on, just put it out there, write about it. If you don't know what kind of content to make, make that your content, right? And tell people what you're doing. And you never know who's paying attention, who will want to see more or hire you or whatever, collaborate with you. That's
Right. And a lot of, like, I'm in this business mastermind with two other entrepreneurs, and we meet once a week. And they told me this podcast is a waste of your time. You're making art, not money. Like, what are you doing? This is like, you're getting, less than 1,000 listens per episode. Like, what's the point? And then it turned into a 5-figure payday in this consulting contract. More money than most people make in a month. So sometimes it just takes one person, the right person, to see that content. And I think that the podcast also has like a lot of kind of like diehard fans who really are like begging me, like, when's the next episode? Like, what's going on with this? It's connected with people in a different way. So I just want to encourage you guys, like, if you're creating cool stuff, to boldly share it, to share the process behind it, to invest in it, even if it doesn't seem to make financial sense. I think at this moment in time, people are looking for others who are doing these things, who are really doing it. And there's no better way to prove that you're doing it, that you're an expert, than show your work, show what you've done.
No, that's a good point. And I've had some really cool opportunities from doing what I'm doing, and I'm not really making a ton of money. I write about, I haven't ever really gone viral on any post, but I write about the things that I'm passionate about. But it helped so that I was able to go and get a paid speaking presentation at a conference, flown out there with Matt and all these other people, and having the opportunity to sit in a place like that and do something that I never thought I'd be able to do. I've been able to present to the American Bar Association twice now for their continuing legal education about AI art and intellectual property, copyright, trademark things. And they don't know this stuff. Like, I thought I was intimidated, but they really don't know. They wanted to know what does a regular person do when they're sitting down and generating images, and when you're typing in things, or even the chat GPT, what are you doing and how does it work? Because they've heard all these stories and they're not sure how to even represent people who are claiming a copyright infringement, or they're trying to defend intellectual property, whatever. So there's all these different things, and people, they notice you. You just get some very interesting opportunities. So everybody out there, there's tons of people in this room that I see are posting a lot of valuable information. There's so many people. It's almost like with the past 6 or 9 months, we've become like a community of highly educated professionals that are, teaching master classes and these wonderful courses every day with these different prompts, not just sharing prompts, but they're giving detailed information about the structure of it and the history of it and different ways you can use it. And people are putting so much effort into this, and also building products. So it's just amazing. We've had so many people come in this space who are building products, or they have a product and they're able to like just provide an answer and solve a problem for people. So it's so cool that we were able to experience all this together. Thank you all. But I guess we can we'll wrap up now. And Matt, you want to go, and Taylor, and then Rob, and I'll say goodbye. We did pretty good this week.
Yeah, we're kind of nailing it right on time, and I just wanted to, you know, I guess add to what you and Rob were just saying there for a second too, about just kind of building this stuff in public and showing what you're working on and experimenting and having successes and also failures in public, because just by me doing that, it's been just like my whole life has changed just in the last 12 months, right? I've been making YouTube videos since 2009. I've been doing it for 14 years, and I was kind of flying under the radar. In the last year, since AI has taken off, I spoke at Artificial Conference with you, Heather. I was invited to speak at Vid Summit. I spoke on 2 panels at Vid Summit, and they flew me out there to do that. 2 days ago, I was asked to speak at South by Southwest, and they're paying to fly me out to South by Southwest to speak about AI there. I'm speaking at Social Media Marketing World in January. I got access to Augmented World Expo and got free passes to that. CES coming up in January, they reached out and asked if I wanted a media pass to that. SIGGRAPH, I got a media pass to that and got to go hang out at SIGGRAPH for free and watch all of the latest technology unfold in front of my eyes. Tim Ferriss actually shared one of my YouTube videos when I was talking about a cool feature that got rolled out in ChatGPT. I won an award for YouTube for just talking about AI, and literally all I'm doing is going, wow, this is a really cool AI tool. I need to share this with other people. And I make a quick video about it, or I make a quick tweet about it, or I go and test it and I show the result of my test. That's literally all I've been doing. There's like no magic to it. I am just playing with these tools and showing the results. And it has just absolutely changed my life over the last year. So I just wanted to kind of put a pin in that and just encourage people to play with the tools, share the results, share the screw ups too, because if you go and generate an AI image that's just completely cursed, that is just as valuable and as fun to look at as something that came out amazing. And yeah, it's been a fun roller coaster, and so excited to do these spaces every Friday. I love that Rob's on them with us now too, because I've got a lot of respect for Rob and what he's been doing. And so amazing space, amazing people hanging out here. And yeah, that's my end of the Friday
Oh,
rant for you
thank you.
guys.
Matt is just the sweetest
We love
person.
it.
Thank you so much. And so meeting in person, like I said, he is just like you would think he is. And I'm so happy that we were all in the same orbit and that we landed. And that's what this does. So there's so many people. And Bunchu, thank you for asking me to be an ambassador for Hive. And see Tatiana there. Hello, she's another ambassador. We have Alan and Nicholas and Ben. But there's just a lot of people that just have been out here. We work other jobs, right? A lot of us do other things. Nathan, what's up? I see you down there. And I mean, there's just so many people that put their hearts and soul into this. So I think people I guess they can tell when you're serious and when you're authentic about something. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing. Taylor, what you got?
It's so true. Like this, speaking of orbit, this is like the orbit. I'll try to keep it short because I'm getting over being sick. So my voice is a little hoarse and I might just start coughing. So if I do, I'll go on mute. Um, but this is truly like just the place to be, I think, in the trenches when it comes to AI and learning everything about it from every perspective as business stakeholders, as founders, as builders, as content creators, as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. This is where it's happening, and I'm so fortunate to be part of this space. And this is quite a panel. Two of the three speakers that are up here on the top row right now, at least to me, I've actually interviewed recently on my podcast, The Sauce Pod. And I think the latest one is pinned in my profile. If you want to really take a peek behind the curtain of who Rob Lennon is, if you thought that what he had to say today is interesting, you should hear some of the stories from his background. And as well as Matt Wolf here with us as well. I had the opportunity to talk with him and his crazy rise to influence in the AI space over the last year. It's just been tremendous. And just last night, Heather and I recorded an episode together as well. So I'm kind of on a journey to share more of these stories of the creators in this space and across other spaces as well. But really, the successful, solopreneurs, as many of us are. That are just kind of creating amazing things and shedding some light on the journey that took them there, because the paths have been so diverse and interesting to explore that I just can't wait to share them with all of you. So check out Rob's latest episode, and I guess I could pin it up here, but and look forward to having Heather's released here soon as well. So thanks again, Heather, for this space. As always, I learned so much, and I'm going to be stewing over it this weekend. I'll also write a recap of it so that anyone who missed the space or wants to get the quick rundown, I'll throw that together in my newsletter next week.
Thank you, because I'll be busy in style tuning and adding more lines to my thousands of spreadsheet. So thank you. Thank you. If you could do that, I'd really appreciate that. And thank you. That was she's a great interviewer, and she interviewed me last night. So it's kind of funny because we've known each other for quite a while now. So but I think it's a pretty interesting story, I guess. And I hope that you all enjoy it. I really appreciate it. And Rob, yeah, anything you want to say before we go?
Yes, follow Matt on YouTube. I posted his YouTube profile in the comments, along with my podcast. And Taylor, let's get yours up before we wrap up. Get that. Let's pump the sauce. Pump this. Ooh, that sounds naughty. Okay. Anyhow,
I love
you guys
that.
know me. I'm your your local AI whisperer. You can get $1,000, more than $1,000 of my courses for only $29 a month at LennonLabs.com, which is my project to try and help over 100 times more people than I have in the past with high ticket courses by making them super affordable and providing a community and some other tools for you to take advantage of AI and learn practical AI skills. So check it out, LennonLabs.com. And thank you so much, Heather, as always, for, it's not easy to put together a live quote unquote radio program like this, to manage it, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background you don't see, where Heather makes sure that all of our time together is well spent. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm like, I need to. I want to get a podcast because I'm kind of doing that, right. So I might as well go ahead and do that. And it's also a great way to repurpose content. I have a YouTube channel. I won't share it yet, but once I get a little bit more going on that, that's all in the works before the end of this year. So doing that, and my challenge for Hive 3 will be on November 17th, I believe. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that next week. I think I think everybody here could probably participate in this one. It's pretty fun, and I hope that you enjoy it. And Tatiana had a great challenge recently that she hosted for the designing for the Mars colony, I think. And I apologize if I misstated that, but thank you, Bunchu, for having us be a part of that community and for this idea of having a competitive league, but really a community, another extension of the community, so that a lot of us are in different circles. We might interact some on X, but then we have, a few different places where we might run into each other again on different projects and things like that. So it's great to have different outlets that we can do things off the platform and still communicate with people that we find have a lot in common with. But thank you all for sharing, coming and spending time with us this evening, this Friday. And next week, Matt, I don't think will be here. So please still come, even though our superstar won't be here. He'll be some family time, and you deserve that. I'm so glad that you get to go and hang out and do some fun things with your family. But I'm sure we're going to have a ton of news, and Rob and Taylor are going to be here. Hopefully, Linus will be back next week. And, we'll just have other guests still coming by. And we appreciate everything that you do. And please keep creating, stay positive, and keep building. But have a great weekend. And I'll sign off now for real.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good night.
Ciao.